All right. Well, as I said earlier, we're going to talk about the money in the bank, but first we got to talk about the mark in the back. And it's poor Tony Khan. He had one bright spot last week on his television program. And on Saturday night, the Collision, and I'm assuming it's going to do a potentially record low rating because it was against Money in the Bank, which is Money in the Bank. But there were a couple of things that happened we're going to comment on. And the first one opened the program, and that was MJF's promo explaining why he did what he did to Daniel Garcia and peripherally Will Ostrich and the whole thing from last week on Dynamite. And again, it's almost a shame sometimes when they do something really good. It's a bigger shame than when they do something that's really the shits. Because when it's really the shits and hardly anybody sees it, it helps them. But when this is really good and hardly anybody sees it, it ain't gonna help them. But maybe they'll put a package on Wednesday night to bring us up to speed on the program that a few more people watch. Do you know where South Haven, Mississippi is, Brian?
I have no idea. I'm not big on Mississippi geography.
Well, it's a trick question because South Haven, Mississippi is peripherally in the Memphis, Tennessee kind of metropolitan area. And as a matter of fact, hold on one second, just so I can...
I think we're about to introduce Mr. Rand and Mr. McNally back to
the show. We got Randy McNally coming in here because I want to make sure that I frequented that area quite often in my younger days, but now that senility is creeping in, oh, bye-bye, sweetie, love you. You too, Stace. Harley's leaving the room with Stacy. So, yeah, if you go across the Tennessee-Mississippi border, set your clocks back 20 years, ladies and gentlemen, then, South Haven is only about 10 or 15 minutes from downtown Memphis. What was that old George M. Cohan song? 45 minutes from Broadway, but it's a world away. But they've got it's another one of these small suburbs that has built a halfway decent sized arena in modern times, and they've got a building down there now. So, but the way Tony Schiavone introduced the program when they came on the air, from Memphis, here in South Haven.
I missed that.
and now people are like, wait, what? What the fuck? What happened? From Memphis, here in South Haven, it's Collision. You must have been in a collision head on, apparently.
It's like WCW in '89. We're going to be in New York, in Troy, New York.
Well, and Vince was bad about that, like a lot of other things also, in that we would be in certain places. He would just call it the College Arena or Greater Kumquatville. I don't fucking know. But anyway, they opened this program, Collision, from South Haven against Money in the Bank with a package on the MJF and Garcia and Will extravaganza last week, which we have covered. You can listen to that if you want to on our YouTube channel and then get back to us. And the package actually was well done for once. They had something to work with in that some points were made, not only verbally, but visually. And then they hit MJF's music, and he gets a big pop, obviously. Either way, he gets a bunch of noise when they know it's him coming. There was boos, there was cheers, but when they turned the music off, it seemed that the people had picked up on there were more boos going on.
No leather jacket. That's important, too. It was back to looking or dressing somewhat like the old MJF.
Looking as only he can look.
Not like the Dice Rules era MJF.
Well, that's because now he's put away his childish things as he's become a man again. And they even got some "you suck" chants going, and then He said, I wish that unlike your mothers on their knees at a truck stop bathroom, you'd keep your mouth shut. So we could tell by the tone of that we're gonna go in here that he's here to lay waste to some people.
Yeah, that was the first sign that, okay, this promo may be promising.
Yeah. And yeah, I mean, I'll go over the points in a minute. You can't replicate this. Not only his machine gun delivery when it needs to be, but also just the sheer volume of story that was told. But he made sense out of this shit. For once on any of their programs, something makes sense, not just from last week, but he made it make sense from 6 months ago. He's being consistent to who he is, MJF, who we have thought he is, who he's supposed to be. Not referring to the song and dance with Jericho, obviously, but part of the way that he last did that big babyface promo last August, which they excerpted, was when he bared his soul to the people, that he's got a rejection disorder. He named it. I have no idea. I couldn't even spell those words. I just said rejection disorder. But he was scarred as a child, and he was made to think that everybody was an evil scumbag. But now he's opened up the whole deal that he did about being a vulnerable person to be babyface last year has now, the seeds have come home to roost. I've fucked that simile up. The rooster has come home to lay an egg.
To seed.
There you go. Because now you've rejected him. The people have rejected him. They started, he's off, broken his body, sacrificed his all for you people that he opened up to, and you scorned him, and you went and cheered for Will, and you went and cheered for Swerve, and you went and cheered, well, fuck you. Garcia was a pawn. You really thought that you were getting that match at All In with this? I was always going to stab him in the back because he's a Make-A-Wish kid. And then...
That was the second promising part. Because it wasn't trying to elevate Garcia like everything else they do is. It's trying to put reality back into place.
It was like, I blew smoke up your ass so I could stab you in the back because you're another one of these these clowns that they're cheering for. And then, you know, when they played the clip, he came back and he said, I told you that if I opened up to you, if you turned on me, it would tear my heart out. Because what the great heel turns in wrestling in the territory days were not when somebody just said, fuck you, and hit him over the head with a chair when nobody expected it. But it was when the heel thought, like this Drew McIntyre stuff, when he thought he was right. He thinks he's right. And he laid the whole deal out. I broke my body for you. And you chanted, thank you, Joe. And then you discarded me for Swerve and Okada. And that talentless hack Osprey. And he told the people, it's not personal between me and Garcia. He's a pawn. It's personal between me and you. I'm going to take away the things you love. I mean, Snidely Whiplash couldn't have gotten a more fucking heinous goddamn attitude, right? He's going to tie some people to the railroad tracks here. And it makes sense for once. It's not people just dressing up as somebody else or changing their hairstyle and trying to act differently. Chris Jericho. And, you know, the line, he said, Osprey only cares about ratings from Meltzer. I care about ratings from Nielsen. Oh, my God. It says, since everybody who was watching this show will get that, so it was good. Anyway.
But that was just a tease. Let's do it. Let's pop a number, knowing he's not there. So just doing things to ratchet up the heat in the room.
Yeah. Calling him out. They play the music. He laughs. He's not here. Now, of course, the music guy now has to be on MJF's payroll. I wish he'd stick to things that he ought to nominally be able to control. But nevertheless, and he didn't even claim when he started his catchphrase at the end, they started to say his name, and he said, "No, you had your chance. Fuck you. I'm MJF, and you can thank me later." Boy, I've got a whole list of people I'd like him to get rid of. But anyway, it made sense of it, and it got some interest in him and Osprey just because he's trashing this guy, and they like young Will, so it got some interest in that without them really having to do anything physical yet. But also, it explained. He made some of the pandering, simpering nonsense now work for him in a way because he said it was fake and phony all along just to make you people like me, basically, because I wanted you to like, and you still didn't like me, so fuck you. I'm going to fuck all this shit up. I like that spunk. What about you?
Won't call it spunk. We'll start with that. I thought that was the best MJF promo in a long while. And it was a return to form in some ways, but it didn't feel like it was retro. It was what he needed. It was what this company needed. Every heel is cheered. Every babyface acts like a heel. There aren't any just flat out heels. And he's the best at it. The problem is, as good as this was, and it made perfect sense, and it went a while, and it was good, it held you, and it was his best performance in a while. It was on Collision against Money in the Bank.
Yeah.
That's the only issue I have, because you have to now seek this out to hear it, and you should hear it. If this was on Wednesday night, it would have gotten a big reaction. You know, that's the other part. He had the crowd in his hand right away, and he got a big reaction exactly when he wanted to, at all the right times here. I thought this was great. This was the best AEW promo all year, and his best promo in a long time, and it gives you some hope for the TV possibly improving, at least in his segment. Remember early on, when shit was already nuts and bad, and the booking was bad from the beginning, you always had the MJF segments. Other than the Chris Jericho shit. Fuck Jericho.
And for a while, you had the Punk segments.
And yet, eventually you had the Punk, and then when they met up, it was the best thing in the history of the company.
And then you got no Punk, and then you had no MJF. Now at least we got one back.
And listen, those were the days when MJF meant the most to the ratings and to everything else. So a return to form and something that gives you hope for the future in some way in AEW.
Well, it also, because it even... Do you remember, just let's look at the state of the group that tormented him behind the devil that had sworn to take him out and blah, blah, blah. Mike Bennett and Matt Taven, where have they even been for a while? They're still they never work on the main show, and they're in Roddy's corner whenever you see Roddy come in to do a job. And Roddy, who I just mentioned, comes in to do a job. And Wardlow, does he still work there?
I don't know what happened. Remember, even they started trying to give him like a renewed push after the things with the Undisputed Kingdom started like going nowhere. And then that went nowhere. And now he's just off TV.
And Adam Cole, who, if Adam Cole comes back, but by the time that he returns again from his injuries, and Britt Baker is a giant baby face and everybody knows they're a couple, and she's returned from her injuries. Is the devil, Adam Cole, going to be a fucking manipulative heel, Professor X in a goddamn wheelchair, sending out mayhem? Or is he going to be a beloved returning babyface hero? So that whole thing that they put MJF through was for absolute fucking naught.
And how bad are Adam Cole's injuries for real? Britt Baker just came back and she had a series of mini strokes.
No, now, come on now. Nobody said it was a series. It was a mini stroke. Now,
it was a mini stroke. Excuse me. Excuse me.
God damn, you'll have her slobbering in her fucking soup next week over this.
Well, my point is she came back. No, she got better. She came back. Adam Cole broke his foot and never returned.
Well, never is a long, long time.
When did he jump off that stage and break his foot?
I've lost track
What
now.
decade was that?
No, come on now.
No, that was like a year ago, right?
I mean, well, people I know have had leg transplants and, but it's, I'm sure that they're working diligently. But the point being, he's not going to come back as a goddamn heel. So all of that was for naught.
The only other thing I'll say is it's a two-way street. MJF could do a job like this, not a job, but could do a promo like this and hit a home run, even if no one's going to see it on Collision, and hopefully they do replay it and people see it on YouTube. But now you need a babyface who can do the job and do the promo and get people behind him against MJF. Do you think it's Osprey?
I think it's only Osprey. Name another one.
Yeah, you can't.
There you go.
Osprey's the only one who's a babyface. He just left the heel stable.
Well, yeah. He resigned. He resigned, and his heel manager wished him the best in his future endeavors. God damn it! I don't even know. But that has to be Wembley because they just had people were thinking it was going to be Osprey. I've called him Ostrich so many times. The Birdman, Willie Beware. They were thinking it was going to be him against Swerve and he would win the title at Wembley Stadium. That's what early scuttlebutt was from all the smart sources, right? But they just had that match and they can't have it again. So I would imagine that because of what we are seeing just unfold in front of us, and they're stupid if they don't, put MJF's biggest match and Osprey's biggest match in Wembley Stadium. Osprey would be MJF and MJF would be Osprey. What the fuck else are they going to do? Mitsu Arakawa and Higo Hamaguchi in a tag team match?
Well, you got the the AEW World Champion Swerve Strickland. Adam Page is fired up and ready to go and back in action.
Okay, then let them wrestle each other, because who gives a shit? Name another match that would sell any tickets right now to anybody. Well, they've already sold, and I understand that the number has been sitting at about 40,000 for a while now. Some of them may have buyer's remorse at this point, but what match is going to instantly move tickets amongst people that ain't already going that they can put together off of their roster? I'm just asking you.
There aren't too many big matches you could really think of, are there? Yeah, they have stars. I mean, Danielson is allegedly going to be retiring at the end of the year. Moxley's a star. I'm not a fan of his. You don't have any matches for anyone that you could think of that are like, wow, that's a stadium show where we need to get some extra people in there.
Well, in that case, it's up to our boy MJF again. He's going to be hunchbacked with scoliosis from carrying this fucking company and all these dead weight, non-drawing, sorry sacks of snake feces on his back.